When I was younger, there was one thing I always thought would be insanely cool: being a YouTuber. And honestly, that hasn't really changed. I still want to be a YouTuber today. But when I was younger, I think I wanted it for a completely different reason. I would watch all of these massive creators online. They had millions of subscribers, millions of views, huge communities, crazy opportunities. And from the outside, their lives looked perfect. They got to wake up, make videos, play games, entertain people, travel, make money doing something they actually enjoyed. At least, that's what it looked like to me, and I completely glamorized it. I didn't really understand everything that happened before they became successful. I didn't see the hundreds of videos that went nowhere. I didn't see the years some of them spent uploading before anybody knew who they were. I didn't see all the failed ideas, bad thumbnails, terrible videos, or nights wondering if any of this was actually going to work. I just saw the end result, and I wanted that. I thought being a YouTuber was probably one of the coolest things you could possibly do. So naturally, I started trying to make videos, and then I would stop, then I'd try again, and then I'd stop again. And I think I finally understand why. I was obsessed with the destination, not the process of actually getting there. Whenever I started a channel or made a video, I was already thinking about the big milestones: 1,000 subscribers, 10,000, 100,000, a million, getting that first huge viral video, making money, eventually doing YouTube full time. Those were things that excited me, and there's nothing wrong with having those goals. I still have big goals now, but the problem was that anything below those goals basically felt meaningless to me. I could upload a video and get 20 views. Instead of thinking 20 people watched something I made, I'd think, only 20? Maybe I would gain a subscriber. Instead of thinking about the fact that an actual person saw my content and decided they wanted to see more of it, I'd look at the total number, and it would still look so tiny. So it didn't feel like progress. And because I wasn't immediately seeing the big milestones that I had imagined, I'd quit. That was probably my biggest mistake. I would start something with a huge amount of motivation because I'd imagine where the channel could eventually go. Then reality would hit. 5 views, 10 views, maybe 100 views, barely any subscribers. And suddenly, making videos wasn't as exciting anymore because I wasn't getting that part that I had glamorized. I think a lot of people do this. You see somebody with 1 million subscribers and think, I want that. But nobody really fantasizes about having 14 subscribers. Nobody imagines having 37 views on a video they spent 5 hours making. And nobody dreams about refreshing YouTube Studio and seeing the exact same number you saw an hour ago. But that's the part you actually have to go through. That's YouTube for almost everybody at the beginning. And I don't think I respected that enough. I wanted the results of being a creator before I even earned the results. And every time they didn't come quickly enough, I convinced myself that maybe this channel wasn't working. Maybe I need another idea. Maybe I need to restart. Maybe I would come back later. And then I'd stop uploading, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because I was upset that I wasn't growing. So my solution was to stop doing the one thing that could eventually make me grow. And I think social media makes this even worse because we're constantly surrounded by massive numbers: 100,000 views, 500,000 views, 3 million, 10 million. So eventually, your perception of what a lot of people actually is becomes completely broken. You upload something and 200 people watch it, and somehow that feels small. But imagine actually standing in front of 200 people. That's a lot of people. Imagine 200 people sitting in a room waiting for you to say something. You'd probably be nervous, maybe even terrified. But because YouTube turns those people into a tiny number underneath a video, 200 suddenly feels like nothing. And I think the most extreme example of that is one viewer. You look at your analytics, 1 view. That looks terrible. You might almost feel embarrassed by seeing it. But forget the analytics page for a second. Think about what that number actually represents. That's a person. An actual human being was sitting somewhere, probably scrolling through hundreds of videos they could have clicked on, and for whatever reason, they chose yours. Maybe they watched for 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, or maybe they watched the entire thing. But for some period of their life, something you created had their attention. That's actually pretty crazy when you stop treating them like a statistic. And recently, I've started appreciating that more. The smaller things. Getting a new subscriber. Seeing somebody leave a comment. Seeing somebody actually watch most of a video. Having somebody come back and watch after another upload. Even just seeing one person watching. Because those are the things I skipped over mentally when I was younger. I was always waiting for that big moment. I thought I'd finally be happy when I reached a certain number. But let's say I did reach 1,000 subscribers. What happens then? I'd probably want 10,000. And if I reach that, I'd want 100,000, then 1,000,000. The goalpost would just keep moving. It's basically endless. Your first video gets 100 views and you're excited. Then eventually 100 becomes normal. Now you need 1,000 to feel the same way. Then 10,000, then 100,000. If your happiness comes entirely from a number getting bigger, you're basically creating a game that you can never finish. There's always somebody bigger. There's always another milestone. There's always another video that performed better than yours. And I think that's something I'm trying to change now. I still want to grow. I'm not going to pretend I suddenly don't care about views. Obviously I do. I want people to watch the videos. I want the channel to get bigger. I still have those dreams I had when I was younger. I would love to eventually look back at this video from a massive channel and think, that's where I was back then. But there's one major difference now. I don't want to sacrifice enjoying where I currently am because I'm obsessed with where I might eventually be. Because I already did that. I spent years wanting to be a YouTuber while constantly quitting YouTube. And that's the contradiction I've only recently started realizing. If this is genuinely something I want to do, then I have to be willing to make videos when almost nobody is watching, because that's part of being a creator too. You don't just become a YouTuber when you hit 100,000 subscribers. You're a YouTuber when you have 10 subscribers. You're a YouTuber when you upload something and 3 people watch it. The audience size changes. The process doesn't. You come up with an idea. You make something. You upload it. You learn. Then hopefully the next one is better. And maybe that's actually what I should have been focusing on the whole time. Not how quickly can I get to 100,000 subscribers, but can I make this video better than my last one? Can I make a better thumbnail? Can I make the first 30 seconds more interesting? Can I tell a better story? Can I keep somebody watching for another minute? Because those are the things I can actually control. I can't force 100,000 people to subscribe. I can't force the algorithm to give me 1,000,000 views. But I can make the next video. And if only one person watches it, I can try to make it worth that person's time. Then maybe the next video gets 2, then 10, then 100. Maybe eventually thousands. And that's the part younger me didn't understand. The massive numbers I was obsessed with aren't separate from the tiny numbers. They're built from them. Every channel with 1,000,000 subscribers had subscriber number 1. Every video with 10 million views started with 1 view. There was a moment when nobody knew who these creators were. I also think there's something kind of special about being at the beginning. Because if this actually does work someday, I probably won't ever be able to come back to this exact stage. The stage where every subscriber is noticeable. Where one comment can genuinely make your day. Where seeing somebody you don't know watching your video feels weird because you're still not used to it. Someday, I might actually miss this. And that's why I don't want to spend the entire beginning wishing it was already over. Obviously, I want to grow. But I also want to remember this part. Because this is the journey I used to imagine starting. I just always imagined skipping straight to the ending. So if you're watching this, and you're also trying to start something, maybe you're making YouTube videos, maybe you're streaming, maybe you're making music, maybe it's something completely different. Don't make the mistake I made. Big goals are good. Have them. Work toward them. But don't make those goals so important that everything before them feels worthless. enjoy the journey, because then you'll probably quit before you reach them. I know I did, multiple times. And maybe I would be much further right now if I hadn't. But I can't change that. I can only change what I do now. So I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep trying to improve. And then I'm going to appreciate the small milestones instead of treating them like they don't count. Because eventually, maybe those small milestones won't be so small anymore. And until then, if this video gets one viewer, one actual person who decided this was worth clicking on, I think I'm finally starting to understand that that's enough. One viewer is enough. And if you're that one viewer, thank you for watching.